welcome to Be an Artist. I'm here with Kate Ivory Jordan today. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
You're someone that started really early doing multiple different things, dancing, acting, singing, playing an instrument. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your early days?
For sure. So I started, I grew up in London. So I think about 6, I went into a school where they did ballet, tap, modern jazz, sort of like an ICD syllabus sort of dance school. And I did like a ballet lesson at my school, and the teacher went, "You need to go to ballet lessons, like get this girl in ballet lessons." So I went and kind of just fell in love with it all, really, and then just started with ballet and then went on to tap and X, Y, and Z. And then it kind of just, I did like musical theatre for a bit, like, like amateur dramatics there. And then, yeah, I just fell in love with, I think it was the performing side of things. I had a passion for learning a new technique or a new skill. Like, I really loved focusing in on something new and really learning the basics and getting it perfect. Like, I'm such a perfectionist. So I think when it comes to dance, it just it like, yeah, it just gave me everything I needed, I think, for me as a person and my personality traits and stuff. So yeah, so I started there, and I went to Italia Conti for a couple of years as the junior school. So from like year 7 to year 9, I went there, and that sort of developed my performing side a bit more. And during that time, I was in Billy Elliot as well for a little bit. So that also gave me another little boost into what it would be like to be on the stage, like professionally. And that was insane. Like, I think my 10-year-old self definitely took it for granted. Now when I think back to like what that was. And then so I did that for 6 months, and then started learning instruments. And I kind of had a bit of a alternative upbringing. I was homeschooled for a lot of my schooling life. I think I would only ever go to school in like these 2-year increments. So I did like reception to like year 2 or something, and then I did year 7 or year 6 to year 8, and then I did my GCSE, so I did the year 10 and 11. And all the times in between I was homeschooled, so I had a lot of time to learn instruments. And it was, yeah, we did schooling a bit differently. So I think because I wasn't in such a structured system, I was able to let my creative side kind of flourish a bit, and choose what I wanted to do, yeah, in that time a bit more.
So you kind of worked school around the artistic education.
Yeah, my mom was super hot on the fact that she didn't want us to just be in the education system and kind of be that the whole, young lives, early lives, to be in that and then come out and kind of, she didn't want us to be robotic. She was like, let's hone whatever it is that you want to do, whether it be music, sport, instrument, tennis, dance, singing, whatever it was. She was like, we can work the whole schooling around that. And because of that, it gave us this discipline, which meant that I was finding when it came to actual, schooling and science, English, maths, I was able to learn things so much quicker because I could go at my own pace. So if I knew something really quickly, instead of taking 2 weeks to go over that module, I could learn it in a day and then spend the rest of that time doing, I don't know, piano or something, which helped hugely. And yeah, I really enjoyed that kind of way of living.
Is there like an online curriculum that you have to enroll to do homeschool, or is it pretty open in Britain?
Um, it's pretty open, to be honest. I had some tutors for a while. I think when you get tutors, they are more, they kind of know a bit more on the structure of things, and almost like a syllabus you have to follow. So obviously when I went back into school, I had to know what they'd learned, year 7, 8, and 9, leading up to what you learn in GCSEs and what you have to do for your exams. It's all online, so it's pretty easy to get. But you don't have to necessarily follow a really strict regime, to be honest. Like, you don't have to go through anything. Well, we didn't anyway. But yeah, I much preferred that.
Yeah.
Much preferred that.
Yeah, I think I would have preferred that. I hated school as a kid.
Did
Felt really squeezed in. Um,
mm, I think a lot of people do. I think they don't know there's like another route that you can go. And I think also, parents have their own lives and they need to work. So school fits in with put your kid in school and then you have these hours to go to work. And I think my mum just was like, no, stuff it. We're just going to do everything our way and we're just going to make it work. So, yeah.
In Germany, it's like it's not allowed. You have to be in school. It's not allowed to homeschool. So the first time I actually heard of homeschool was when I was like 15, 16, when I lived in the States. And I'm like, what do you mean you do school on the computer? Like, how does that work? But
Wow.
it's not.
I don't,
I think they put you to jail if, as a parent, if you don't send your kids to school.
really?
Hmm. Austria, it's allowed. Germany, not.
Wow. Do you know what? I did not know that at all. I thought it was just kind of, I feel like there'd be less strict there as well for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, when it comes to paperwork, Germany is pretty up there. So.
Right.
And if
Yeah.
yeah, it's not allowed. I think that's why they're struggling now so much with the homeschooling because there's no system for it at all to
Right.
keep track of.
Yeah. I can't imagine how alien that must be. I mean, it's hard for parents in the UK. And when I've been, speaking to people and they're saying, I'm struggling because I'm working, but I have to homeschool my kid. And it's not for everyone. Some parents don't have the skills or the tools to be able to do that, which, because normally it's not their job. So I think a lot of people struggle. So I can't imagine what it must be like in Germany where no one does it. It's like unheard of. So then there's no other option but to homeschool your kids.
Mm.
Like that's pretty intense.
Yeah, that threw a lot of people off. So you said you kind of really like the performing aspect, growing up with different art forms, and obviously you got to be in Billy Elliot, which is crazy. Like it's how many kids get to do that? Um,
Right.
when did you always consider yourself an artist as well? Like were you always aware of what you're doing as art or an artist, or was it just play for you, and the identity as an artist came later on?
Definitely the latter. I didn't really understand what being an artist meant, to be perfectly honest. I think I just enjoyed what I was doing. I was getting to basically have fun. That's what I saw myself doing. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just having fun. I don't have to, I'm working hard, but I'm enjoying it as I go. It's not like I'm forcing myself to do something that I don't really enjoy. So yeah, I think it just happened that yeah, I just fell into it and I loved it. And yeah, the artist part didn't come till much later. I kind of thought because also I've got like a line of artists in my family, like painters and stuff. So I always associated that word with like physical, like painting, drawing, sketching. That was what an artist was. So I think also I didn't really know what the full term could be until much later, until fairly recently, when I think, like you say, it's great that you have that book because I didn't have anything like that to tell me that what I was doing was also art and I was creating and I could be that thing. So yeah, I think what you're doing is great because it will teach a lot of people, especially young people, what you can be and what you can do.
It's interesting because most people I've spoken to so far grew up associating only the visual arts as art. Like they always knew that painters are artists, but
Mm,
musicians or actors can be artists,
mm,
which is it's pretty strange, right? Because I feel like
yeah.
for me to identify as an artist was the one thing that gave me freedom.
Hmm. Hmm. And also, it doesn't put you into such a box.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, oh, I'm a dancer, therefore I dance. I only dance, or I'm an actor, so therefore I feel like there's so much more scope for, like you say, freedom, and you can be multiple things, and you don't have to stay in one lane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's a really important thing to know, especially as a young person, is you don't have to just, oh well, you're good at that or you enjoy that, or so just stick in that one thing, and you have to be that your whole life. And you're allowed to change, and you're allowed to kind of blur the lines. Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Kind of a perfect segue to the next thing. You do a lot of different things. Um,
Hmm.
I think you went to Bird College, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
did you have a gap year or did you just go straight after graduating? Like,
I I did my GCSEs. So at 16, I went to college and then did 3 years. So I graduated at 19. Yeah, so I had literally no gap years anywhere. And then I went straight into work.
So because you did a little bit of modeling, I've seen you did Western shows. Was it a chorus line? No, 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 no. Let me 42nd Street.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
42nd Street.
But I did chorus line though. It was
Really?
my third show. So that's probably where you got it from, yeah.
But not in London. Or did you do
No, like our like graduate show where, agents come and X, Y, and Z.
because like it was in London once, but it didn't go very well. I think they closed after like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, yeah. It shot really early. I don't know why. Such a classic show.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So the question is, because obviously you just said there's more to it than just one path, which is kind of what your life reflects, because despite you doing Western shows, your work is not just centered around Western shows. Always in between those longer contracts, you have been doing independent projects. You set up a tap festival and produced a tap fest or co-produced a tap festival. You do the modeling. You do all kind of stuff. How do you keep track of everything you do, and how do you find a balance?
Um, that's a really good question. How do I find the balance of all that? Well, to start with, I think the main reason as to why I do so many things is because I get bored so easily. And that's not just like, oh, well, that is boring. Like the things that I'm doing are boring. It's just that I need a stimulus constantly, something new to focus on, something. I hate being stagnant. So if I feel like I'm in a place in my life where everything is comfortable, then I'm not really happy because I feel like I need to grow, I need to do something, I need to kind of evolve in some way. So I think that's why I have chopped and changed and done this for a bit and gone here, because I just need something new and something different. And I think it ebbs and flows in what is the most important thing in my life at that moment. So I do a West End show and that's like the main thing that I do, but then I'll go into tap for a bit and then I focus a lot on that. And then so it's like whatever I'm doing at the time is what I focus on. I can't say I've got the perfect balance of every bit at all times kind of spot on, but yeah, it's just whatever's there is the thing that I focus on at that moment. And then I kind of like to go with the flow a little bit and see where life takes me. I don't want to be stuck on that one thing for too long.
Do you think that helps you keep your work more consistent because you always have a few things going on rather than just one thing, and then when that falls through, you out of work for like 3 4 months?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's why I don't hold on to, I say this, I don't hold on to, that job or that audition or that casting, or I don't hold on to them too tightly because things always come and go and you can't control them. And especially in our line of work, like there's no security anywhere. So I think if you put all of your emotions into that one thing and it falls through, you can be left feeling just like completely broken and you almost don't have the energy to sort of pick back up. So if I have my fingers in a few different pies, it means that, okay, so that thing's gone, but I've got this thing to focus on now. So I feel like I never want to let my spirits kind of dip to a certain level where I feel like I can't pick myself back up again.
I always like to speak a little bit about the creation kind of side of being a performer or an artist, because I think a lot of times you're able to create your own opportunities when nobody else is there giving you opportunities. You still can create something of your own. And I remember, I don't know if it was your first project, but I remember a 2-person show you did with Jamie Spall. Was it in Reading or somewhere? I feel like
We did a stint at Brighton. It was like a festival because she lives in Brighton, so we did kind of, I'd always go to her and we create a lot of stuff. And so we created, we did it a couple of places. It was so long ago now, I'm trying to even recall what we did, but
that was it called Tap That?
Tap That.
Yeah.
So we sort of that, and then we had Imogen Weatherhead as well, so she like jumped on board and we kind of did like a little trio thing, and we won an award for that show actually.
Really?
Of that, because I can't remember how long the festival was. God, I need to get my I would look it up now, but I have no idea. It was like a few weeks, I think, and there was different shows playing. It was a really small theatre, but yeah, we won an award for like one of the best shows of the run, which was so unexpected because I mean at that point we were pretty young, and we were just like, oh,
Like
you
18
know,
or something like that.
that. And we, especially in the UK, there wasn't a lot for us to do here. We'd have to like yourself, travel around the world, go to these festivals, learn from these incredible teachers. But when it came to the UK, there was kind of nothing for us to flourish in. So we're like, oh well, let's just mess about. Oh, someone's given us a slot, why don't we just create something? And it was just so cool because we had complete control and free license to create whatever we wanted from scratch. And it was just like, yeah, I don't feel like doing that. Oh yeah, okay, let's do this, and like see how it goes. And yeah, that was it's so funny that you bring it up. I literally haven't thought about that in so long.
Really?
That's so, yeah, I forgot that even happened. It seems like literal eons ago.
No, because I really admired you guys for doing that, because I was like, damn, it took me until I was almost 30 to put on my first own show. And I was like, it's so brave. And, it's when I produced my own show, it was so much work. And I'm like, how did they even handle that at like 18?"
I think the great thing was having Jamie, because we were like, I mean, we're still really good friends now, but like we were inseparable.
Mhm.
And we had a good support network around us. Like both our mums are so involved and just willing to help us on whatever we needed. So knowing we had that support from our family also meant that we were able to just be super creative. So if we were worried about something, they'd be there to say, oh no, it's okay, because you can fix this problem by just doing this. And it was like, oh, okay, so actually our stresses, we weren't just like, completely covered by them. And just, yeah, we were able to do what we wanted to do because we had other people around us supporting us. I think that's really important to have a support network.
That's great. How long did it take you to create? Like, what was the process like?
I would maybe, because I think it probably like 2 or 3 months we knew it was going to happen. So about 3 months before, it was like, okay, let's do this. I know we'd just create randomly, like when we were together. If we were traveling at an airport, for example, we'd just be up in the airport choreographing together, like waiting to board our flight. So it's things like that. So we had a few pockets of things, and like choreography that we'd learnt from, and just inspiration from all over. So to come together, me and Jamie were almost like, I feel like we were telepathic with each other. So we'd just be able to create so easily and quickly. So I'd go up to Brighton a lot of the time and stay with her. And we'd book a studio, and yeah, we'd just spend 2-3 hours in there in a day and just bash something out. So it didn't really take too long. I think all in all, if you put all the time to get that we'd spent to choreograph together, it'd probably only be like a week's work.
Oh, really?
You know,
Wow.
we could have, like, if you condensed it all over, however many months, because obviously I was in London and she was in Brighton. So when we would meet, we'd do like, 4-hour rehearsal maybe, get 1 or 2 numbers done. But yeah, we worked back then. Our brains were like so quick. I can't say that for myself now, but yeah,
I know sometimes when I see Jamie at workshops, I feel like she remembered the choreography before it was taught. Like, before the teacher demonstrated, she's already got it down.
our brain is, yeah, one of the most talented tap dancers I know, 100%. Yeah, she's just the capacity to pick up things, to understand rhythm and pattern and music. Yeah, second to none for me personally.
That's amazing. And the show was really successful as well, right? I mean, you just
Yeah,
said you won a prize for it. So,
yeah,
like, did you have to promote it yourself, or did the festival
yeah.
promote it for you?
We had to do everything ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it just, I mean, the theatre was small, but we pretty much sold out on the tickets, I think, in every show. Um,
That's
yeah, I
amazing.
think it was a big accomplishment for sure,
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah.
And then that directly led to you kind of producing a tap festival, or co-producing a tap festival, as you do when you're
Yeah,
20.
That was an experience. That one was a lot of work, a lot of stress. When we pulled it off, it was like, I can't believe we managed to do that. It was 3 days. We had Jason Janis came over for our first one.
He
Um,
choreographed the beginning, like you did an opening number with him, didn't you?
yeah, that was actually so awesome. Like, because I remember we picked him up from the airport, me and Jamie, at like 6 a.m. and we drove. The first thing we did was, you know where Old Kent Road rehearse? They rehearse in a studio, I think it's in South London.
Yeah.
And we were there, and Avalon came, and Jamie and me, and we had just like a session. And he was like, I've come up with something, like, girls learn this. And it was just like us in the studio, and we created this piece. He basically just created it for us, and we performed it together. And yeah, that's something I'll never forget, because yeah, it was just, yeah, that was insane. And we were so in awe of him. And I feel like he did kind of take us under his wing and really help us grow. And I think he was a big reason as to why, you know, we kept doing and we kept creating and we kept, you know, pushing for something bigger, because he was a very inspirational at that point in our lives. Yeah, so that was just awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, quite present on social media, but not like crazy present like those people that like desperately post like 5 times a day. But I feel like
Yeah.
you always have something fresh coming, photo shoots, projects. If you don't have a
Mhm.
project, you do like photo shoots or things of yourself. Do you put a conscious effort into keeping it updated, or is it just you just go to with the flow as well with that?
I think somewhere in the middle. I'm very conscious of the fact that social media has helped me and my career massively. Um, it would be silly of me to say, oh well, it's just, you know, an app and it doesn't really mean anything, blah blah blah, which I understand to a certain point. But for me, it's actually booked me work and jobs and made connections with some pretty important people just over like Instagram message or a comment on a video that they've seen. I remember I put a video up of me dancing back in college, and that's how I got my first commercial agent.
Wow.
And that was huge, because they'd literally just seen the video.
Mhm.
So for them to then email me and say, we want to represent you just from a video, you know, that's a massive career shift. So from that moment, I was like, okay, so there is a level of importance here, and it's just it's free advertising basically for me. Um, so I don't want to put too much onus on it, but at the same time, I know what it can do and its power. So I do, you know that if you post a bit more regularly, things could happen. So yeah, I kind of have a schedule of how often I'd like to post, and I don't go too beyond that, really. But yeah, I think it's any platform like that can boost you as an artist or a creative or anything like that.
Do you have separate agents for like modeling, theater, acting, singing, or do you have like one that does a little bit of all?
Yeah, I've got my, like, I would say my main agent, and I say this because I'm signed exclusively with them, is Simon and Howell, and they're musical theatre, TV, and film. And then, you know, they do commercials and the odd commercial dance job here and there as well. So they're a pretty all-round agent, and they're great. And then I have a couple of commercial agents. I have a modeling agent and an agent for more like what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, you know, Skin London, they do like commercial jobs, but it's sort of like catwalk dancey, sort of those sort of events.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I kind of have a few different ones. But yeah, I think you have to. There's not really one agent that can do everything for you. Well, not in the UK anyway.
Yeah, I think that's how it differs a lot with the US, because in the US I have the feeling you have one agent and you know that agent, and they know you, and they kind of
Mm-hmm.
actually send you the casting call. In the UK, I feel like you have like an agent per type of work almost.
And it's almost like, especially within the commercial sector in terms of commercial dance, um, because no one is exclusive, you can sign with a few of the same type of agency. So at one point, I think I was signed to like 4 agents, and they all did the same thing. But in order to be able to have a career and actually be able to sustain yourself and make a living from doing that, you'd have to be with them, because certain clients went to those people and certain clients went here. So if you're with all of them, you just had a better chance at getting consistent work. I think it's starting to shift now, especially with Dancers Network coming in and trying to make our industry a bit more fair and a place for dancers and artists and performers to go to. They're trying to make it so that you're just with one person, but I think it's going to take time for that to sort of be, you be exclusive to one person and they really get to know you and really push for you, which I think is a good system and they have out in the US.
Mm-hmm. On a more like serious note, I always ask people, because for me art can be social action, and this part of the art is really important for me. Like, I think I'm very aware of, I'm like not super political, but I'm aware that there's a political aspect to everything you do. So part of your work is obviously in the entertainment sector when you do like Western shows and stuff like this, so you can't really present your stand to things that much, other than which shows you take on and which shows you don't. But do you have this political streak to what you do as well, like in the background somewhere, or how
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. I think it's really hard not to, and especially where we are right now and the way the world is and all the things that have taken place, especially in the past year. It's hard not to be an activist for something. And I think that I am very aware of all of those things. And I think it really comes into my career and the things that I do massively. I think it's a huge part of it, because once you know those things and you maybe have an opinion on it or take a stance on it, you see it everywhere you go. So you go into a show and you think about equality in terms of race, gender, sexualities. There's like so many things that then are presented in front of you and you go, am I comfortable with this? Do I think they're doing enough? Is this something I want to be a part of? Or actually, is this making me feel uncomfortable and I'm not happy with the way things are going? So should I remove myself? And it's a constant conversation and a debate that I have with a lot of my friends and family. And it comes up a lot, and it does. And now it's a huge part of deciding the creative projects that you want to be a part of and the ones that you don't. Well, for me anyway.
Yeah, because I always feel like, I mean, I don't know if you feel like that. I feel like you have the responsibility for the next generation, because what you model is kind of what what they think the reality is, because they don't know the reality yet, because they haven't experienced it yet. But all the like 15-year-olds that are watching, they're looking at you and they're thinking, this is what I'm gonna do. So I feel like if you like tuck your head in and be like, oh, I'll just sit it out, they will another generation tucking their head in and sitting it out.
But also I think even the reverse side of that, so I have younger sisters, one of them is 18 and she's very much the Gen Z generation. Like she's very she is the activist generation. She is outspoken. She has an opinion on everything, right or wrong. She will always have an opinion. So and she is all about equality in every single way. She hates discrimination of any kind, and they're very vocal. So much so that it's almost like you see the younger generation, all her friends are like that, and that they're the generation coming up. So if they're going to be like that, it's almost impossible for me, and I feel like our generation to just be passive and not really have a stance, or just not engage in those things, because they are so active and they are so vocal that we have to be that, because otherwise, if we're the other way, we're going to create an environment and a system that goes against everything that they are and everything that they're fighting for. So we have a responsibility to push that voice forward, because that they're the generation coming up. So we need to be more open. We need to talk about these things. We all need to be activists of some sort, so that we don't crush what they're going to come into or what they believe. And what I agree with a lot of the things that they say. So yeah, I think they can also be an inspiration the other way around, and they can teach us a lot, not just us, being the role models for them. I think they give us a lot if you just take the time to look and listen.
Mm. How was it growing up with so many? Because I know all of your sisters are artists of one sort or the other, right? Like
Yeah.
your clarinet, acting, modeling, like all of you. Like, how was that? Did you just have your little ecosystem of little artist family, or was there competitiveness? Like, how can I imagine that growing up?
We were very close and very tight knit as a family. It is like a little creative bubble. When you come to our house, it's noisy, it's loud, because there are instruments all over the house. We play games, we create things, we dance, we sing. So there's always stuff happening. It's very much a creative hub, like you say. Very supportive. Obviously, we're family. I have 3 sisters. And my mum, it was a lot of women in a house and ups and downs, but all in all, we're like very supportive of each other, for sure.
All right, one last question to close this off. What's the one thing that you would have wished you would have known 15 years ago?
The one thing that I wish I would have known 15 years ago is that I didn't have to be perfect, and nothing that I did had to be perfect. That's pretty self-explanatory, but that it's okay to take the time to find out what it is, or find out who you are over a period of time, and that you don't have to be able to get something straight away in order for you to have value. Like, you don't have to be great at that thing in order for you to be a great person.
Mm-hmm.
So that that the perfection doesn't define you and who you are and who you're going to be, because now I realize that none of those things matter, and they don't change who I am, whether I was good at clarinet from the first time I played or not, or whether I could do that triple pirouette perfectly or not. Literally doesn't define me in any way. So yeah, I think not being perfect and knowing that I didn't have to be perfect, I wish I'd known and accepted and really sat with that one 15 years ago, for sure.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Petra.